Joe Vitale, Darren Pang back here for Blues Game Day Live. We're in the bowels of the arena here in Ottawa and getting ready for this game tonight. An interesting matchup after a real exciting game in Toronto as well. And Toronto looks like they're going to be a contender in the East, Joe. But we'll just kind of recap that game quickly. A couple of things that caught my eye is Binnington going back to Toronto. His first game ever playing there. Played really, really well. And I think the other thing is Alex Pietrangelo, with all the pressure on the captain and everybody talking about the UFA status, he goes into Toronto. He's the first star. Game-winning goal, which, by the way, passes the great Al McGuinness for the most game-winning goals in the history of the St. Louis Blues for defensemen with 23. So a couple of small areas there that we can kind of touch on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, two guys with ice in their veins heading into that game for the reasons you just said right there. I mean, Jordan Binnington to start out, the big stage against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Darren, you said something earlier this year that really caught my eye in that game specifically. You know, Jordan Binnington, he has the ability just to make a big save in a big moment in a game. I go back to that second period. He wasn't seeing a lot of attention, capping in on the back door. Moore had a breakaway, save, and all of a sudden Shen goes down and ties the game before the third period. That's what Jordan Binnington can bring for you. And then, of course, Petro's big game winner there late in the third period. It was funny. Our vantage point for Chris and I when we were doing the game, we're watching the goal right underneath us, and Petro scores that goal, and literally right in front of us is Al McGuinness, the guy he passed up. So it was a cool moment.
Yeah, really good. And Chris Pronger, that's their top three. It's Alex Pietrangelo, the captain, and the only captain to win a Stanley Cup for the St. Louis Blues, as we well know, and then Al McGuinness and Chris Pronger. So pretty good company right there. The Blues yesterday in Toronto, they stayed in Toronto, practiced there. I liked the practice. I thought the practice was real good. A lot of neutral zone coverage, a lot of harping on how tight they want to be, how quickly they want to, move the opposition to one side or the other side and make that decision with decisiveness. So I think that's something we can look at for tonight's game.
Well, I think in the Toronto game, speaking of neutral zone, I thought they got in a little bit of trouble when they started feeding the monster of the track meet style that Toronto likes to play. Turnovers at the blue line.
That was fun to watch.
Oh my God, was it ever?
I'm not going to talk from a coach's perspective because that's different. Entertainment perspective, I could watch that all day long.
I agree with you big time, buddy. But for the Blues, though, I think the way for them to have success, Darren, unfortunately, it's going to be more of a smash mouth style, and it's going to be taking care of the pucks at the offensive blue line. You mentioned the practice yesterday in Toronto. A big emphasis on that practice was carrying the puck into the blue line, into the offensive zone for the St. Louis Blues. To me, this is the decision in hockey that can win you or lose you games. You have to know as a player when to make a play and when to chip it in and go to work. And I think that is the decision that you see a lot of guys come into this league and maybe kind of fumble a little bit, and then a lot of veterans really have a good structure, know when to make a play, know when to chip the puck. And I think that decision tonight is going to be big against a team because look at it, Ottawa Senators could be a very trap game in a sense that it's a rebuild here, a lot of youth, a new coach. They're 0-2 to start the year, so I think for the Blues to have that focus early on is going to be important.
Yeah, coming into a game like this, you're right about that, and especially the excitement of being in Toronto and then getting ready to go to Montreal on a Saturday night as well. I'll give you some of the notes on DJ Smith, who spent 4 years with Mike Babcock as an assistant in Toronto. The Ottawa Senators have never started 0-3 to start the season. They're 0-2 right now. They've allowed an average of 36 shots against in 2 games. They've had 3 hard days of practice. They're not going to skate this morning. You can be sure that this will be a little bit more of a tight-knit group in their own zone. They cannot allow 36 shots against, especially against a team like St. Louis.
No, I don't think so. And, matchup to keep an eye on tonight, I believe Anders Nilsson's going to get the start here
Had
tonight.
the shutout last year.
He had a shutout last year, Panger. And, from where I'm watching the game, it seems like it's been a big emphasis for the Blues this year to get to the opposing team's goalie. Bishop, I can count maybe a dozen times he was on his butt. Sammy Blake
gets to the front of the net.
Boy,
for sure.
does he ever. I mean, it's hard enough for these goalies to save pucks, but what is it like as a goaltender when you have a team that's committed to get to the front of the net?
It's not very fun. Like, I couldn't play in today's era. I watched Jordan Binnington in that Toronto game, and especially the skill of the Toronto Maple Leafs and the way they zip the puck around, but how many times you get set up behind the net, you go post to post, you're on your knees, you get pushed out in front, bodies out in front. It's just it's really tough. Yeah, really tough. The only chance I would have is looking between their legs, maybe just a little bit. It's always fun seeing a Tkachuk.
Yes.
And Brady already 2 goals so far this year. Last year he had 9 goals in his first 14 games. Maybe slowed down a little bit right there, and he got banged up a little bit, but this guy's a gamer. Like, this is going to be a challenge for Jake Allen, who is going to start. By the way, for Jake Allen, his last game was June 1st in relief. And his last 12 starts, all on the road.
Wow.
Let's make it 13.
I like it.
But Brady Tkachuk's going to be one guy he's going to have to look for.
Well, I think that this is the perfect opportunity to get Jake into a game. I know he's been chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
You look about going to Montreal, then the Islanders. There's not a lot of back-to-back situations coming up in the early going for the St. Louis Blues schedule. So, again, a good opportunity for Jake to come in here and to get back to game action. And it's not going to be easy because you mentioned Brady Tkachuk, his first goal against the Rangers this year. It's just a classic Tkachuk box out in front of the blue paint. I mean, he's a big body to move. He skates very well, and he's got that nose for the net. So this is going to be a big challenge for the Blues defensive group especially.
I'm looking forward to it today.
Me too, buddy.
I've got my sister, my family. I got to go to dinner last night with my brother Mike, his family, and so a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. I'll be between the bench. I'll probably have some poutine there tonight as well. So the game tonight, it's a 7:30 game on the East Coast, 6:30 Central Time. So the 6 o'clock pregame show will be on ESPN Radio. Curbs and Joey's got the call right there. And, of course, John Kelly, the Ottawa native, grew up in this area as well. He's obviously on the play-by-play. I'll be tagging along between the benches. We look forward to that pregame show as well, 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Midwest. Game time, 6:30 puck drop right here in Ottawa, Canada. Have a great day, everybody.